You may not feel it in every moment, you may not see it reflected in the mirror, but deep within you there is courage, not a shallow kind that vanishes when the storms come, but a resilient, quiet power that was planted in your soul long before fear ever had a name. You have got the courage not because life has been easy, but because you have endured. You have walked through valleys. You have faced days that drained your strength, but you're still standing, and that is no accident. That is no coincidence. That is evidence of something greater working in and through you. Courage doesn't shout. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the whisper at the end of the day that says, "Try again tomorrow." It's the quiet confidence to speak truth when lies are louder. It's the strength to keep going when everyone else has stopped. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to rise despite it. This statement challenges a widespread misconception that courageous people are fearless. In reality, even the most heroic individuals experience fear. What sets them apart is not the absence of fear, but their response to it. They choose to act, to move forward, even when their knees tremble and their minds are filled with uncertainty. Fear is a natural and necessary emotion. It signals danger, keeps us alert, and even protects us at times. But when fear begins to dictate our choices and paralyze our potential, it becomes a prison. Courage, then, is the key to that prison, not because it eliminates fear, but because it renders fear powerless. Think about the student who stands up for a friend being bullied, the single mother who works 3 jobs to raise her children, or the young entrepreneur who risks failure to pursue a dream. None of them are free from fear. What they have is a deep resolve to push through, to keep going, to do what must be done in spite of the discomfort. That's courage. When we choose to rise despite fear, we are acknowledging something important, that our mission, our values, and our vision matter more than our temporary feelings. Courage is the alignment of our actions with our convictions. It says, "I know I'm scared, but I believe in this too much to walk away." Rising despite fear is not only admirable, it's essential to personal growth. Every significant achievement in human history has been marked by moments of hesitation and risk. Yet history remembers those who moved forward anyway. In your own life, you'll face crossroads where fear whispers, "Play it safe," while courage urges, "Take the step." What you decide in those moments will shape your destiny. You will never eliminate fear completely, but you can learn to coexist with it, to treat it not as an enemy, but as a signal that you are stepping into something meaningful. Fear often shows up when you're on the brink of something great. It's not a sign that you're weak, it's a sign that you're human. And if you can feel fear and still make the call, take the leap, speak the truth, or pursue the vision, then you are already courageous. Courage is built like a muscle through repetition, through experience, and through the continual choice to lean into discomfort rather than retreat from it. It starts small, often in private, unnoticed moments, making that tough phone call, asking for help, admitting a mistake, or choosing integrity when no one's watching. Over time, those small acts compound into a powerful force that can overcome even the greatest obstacles. So when fear arises, don't wait for it to go away before acting. Choose to rise again and again. With every step forward, fear loosens its grip, and your courage grows stronger. Eventually, you'll look back and realize that the moments you feared the most were the ones that shaped you the most. That's the paradox of courage. It doesn't feel like courage in the moment. It feels like struggle, like doubt, like resistance. But once you move through it, you come out changed. You come out stronger. And in doing so, you prove the truth. Courage has never required you to be unafraid. It has only ever asked you to rise. Every human is born with innate strength that only reveals itself through adversity. This strength is not something external that needs to be acquired. It is already within you, woven into your spirit like a silent code waiting to be activated. It is easy to doubt this when life is calm and predictable, but the truth becomes unmistakable in moments of trial. Adversity is the great revealer of hidden power. When everything around you feels like it's falling apart, when the path ahead is foggy and uncertain, and when your comfort zone no longer offers safety, that's when something extraordinary begins to awaken within you. It is in these testing grounds that your potential takes form, like a seed breaking through the soil. Only when it is buried in darkness, your inner strength begins to grow the moment life presses against you. We often assume that the most successful people were simply born strong, brave, or unshakable. But more often, their strength was born in their struggle. They didn't find strength in the moments of ease. They found it in the fire, in the waiting, in the silence where it felt like no progress was happening. They learned to rely on that inner reserve of courage when the external world offered no guarantees. And the same is true for you. The strength you admire in others is the same strength that lives inside you, waiting, resting, preparing to emerge. Pain, pressure, and problems are not signs that you're broken. They are often signals that you're being prepared for more. The greater the resistance, the more power you'll uncover. Adversity is not a punishment, it is often a preparation. Every time you choose not to quit, every time you rise again after failure, every time you carry on while feeling exhausted or discouraged, that is your inner strength revealing itself. It's in the long nights of worry, the hard decisions, the silent battles, and the moments when no one else understands your fight. It is during those unseen moments that your foundation is laid brick by brick for a future that requires resilience far greater than ease could ever produce. You may not feel strong while you're in it. You may cry, stumble, doubt, or even beg for the season to pass. But if you look closely, you'll see that you're enduring, you're adapting, you're growing in ways that comfort could never teach you. The truth is, we don't discover who we really are when things are easy. We discover who we are when life demands more than we think we have, and then, miraculously, we find it within ourselves to keep going. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's your inner strength being uncovered strength that was always there. So if you're in a season of adversity right now, don't despair. You're not being defeated, you're being developed. What feels like a breaking point might just be the break. Through your soul needs to rise to the next level of purpose. Trust that the strength within you is more than enough. It's not just there to help you survive, it's there to help you overcome. You were created with the capacity to endure, to fight back, to rise again, and that ability doesn't come from the outside. It has always been yours. Faith in a higher purpose activates courage within the human soul. When you believe your life is part of something greater, something more significant than momentary struggles, it transforms how you respond to fear, failure, and uncertainty. You no longer see your challenges as random attacks. Instead, you begin to view them as meaningful steps in a larger journey. Faith does not remove obstacles, but it changes how you see them. It teaches you that the mountain in front of you is not meant to crush you, it's meant to shape you. And that shaping only happens when you believe that your effort, your pain, and your perseverance are not wasted. A sense of higher purpose gives weight to every action and depth to every hardship. It provides the fuel that courage needs to take root in your spirit. When you operate without purpose, fear has full permission to dominate your thoughts. It clouds your judgment, shrinks your vision, and keeps you small. But when your heart is anchored in something larger, a calling, a mission, a set of values that go beyond the present moment, then fear loses its grip. Suddenly, you're no longer just living to avoid pain or protect yourself. You're living to fulfill something, and that shift in perspective is where courage begins to flow freely. Courage doesn't mean you feel strong every day. It means that even on the days you feel uncertain or weak, you are still connected to a reason to move forward. Your why becomes stronger than your what if. Purpose breathes new life into situations that might otherwise feel hopeless. For example, a teacher who pours into students may face frustration, fatigue, and limited recognition. But their purpose to shape lives gives them courage to continue. A caregiver may feel emotionally drained, but their purpose to bring comfort and dignity to another fuels their perseverance. Likewise, in your life, when you are anchored to something higher than just survival, courage begins to rise not just in heroic moments, but in quiet, daily decisions. Faith reminds you that you are not alone in your struggle. It assures you that there is meaning in the waiting, strength in the suffering, and victory on the other side of obedience. And that belief alone, the belief that your life matters, your choices matter, and your pain has a purpose, is often all it takes to activate courage you never knew you had. Even when you don't have all the answers, faith teaches you to walk anyway. You move not because the path is clear, but because you trust the one who laid the path. This trust is the birthplace of enduring courage. You begin to understand that setbacks aren't the end of the story, they're part of it. Delays aren't denials, they're divine timing. Your courage, then, is not born from certainty, but from conviction. Conviction that your life has value. Conviction that your actions echo into eternity. Conviction that no matter how hard things become, you are here for a reason, and that reason gives you the strength to take one more step even if you can't see the finish line. So if you're tired, if you're unsure, if you're standing at a crossroads, remember this: courage will rise when faith takes the lead. When you hold tight to a purpose bigger than fear, nothing can stop the fire within you from moving forward. Character is shaped by moments when fear says no, but purpose says go. These moments are often quiet, invisible to the world, but deeply significant in the formation of who you are. They are the crossroads where you are tempted to retreat, to choose safety, to avoid risk, but something deep within you urges you to press forward. That tension between fear and purpose is where real character is born. It's not formed when everything is going smoothly. It's shaped in pressure, in decision making, in the uncomfortable space where values are tested. In those moments, you begin to discover what truly guides you. Are you led by fear, which whispers every worst-case scenario, or are you moved by purpose, which reminds you of the greater reason you started this journey in the first place? The shaping of character is a slow and steady process. It doesn't happen all at once. It's crafted in thousands of small decisions to keep your word when it's hard, to stand for truth when it's unpopular, to keep believing when everything seems uncertain. Every time you choose to act according to your principles rather than your fears, you are building something within you that cannot be easily shaken. Purpose is not just a motivator, it's a compass. It points you in the right direction when fear tries to mislead you. When your heart is aligned with a clear purpose, it gives you the strength to move even when you are trembling. It says, "This matters more than my fear. This mission is worth the discomfort." Often we wait for fear to disappear before we act, but that day never comes. Fear will always try to stop progress. It will always offer excuses, delays, and doubts. That's why character doesn't wait for fear to be absent. It chooses purpose anyway. It chooses discipline over ease, growth over comfort, faith over certainty. These are not dramatic moments filled with applause or recognition. Most of the time, no one sees when you choose to persevere. No one cheers when you say no to temptation or when you fight through fatigue to do what's right. But every time you do, you are etching strength into your soul. Think of the most respected people in history. Their greatness wasn't only in their talents, it was in their character. And that character was forged through hardship, temptation, and resistance. They didn't become strong by avoiding the fight. They became strong by walking into it, guided by purpose. The same opportunity stands before you. When you are tempted to give up, to compromise, or to shrink back, ask yourself, what is guiding me right now, fear or purpose? The answer to that question will tell you not only what to do next, but also who you are becoming. Your legacy will not be defined by your comfort, but by your convictions. What you do in the hard moments when fear screams stop and purpose quietly says go will determine the depth of your integrity and the strength of your future. So when that moment comes, and it always does, choose purpose. Not because it's easy, but because it's right. And every time you do, your character grows stronger, your courage becomes clearer, and your life moves closer to the person you were meant to be. You don't need to feel brave to act bravely. Action breeds courage. This is one of the most misunderstood truths about human strength. We often wait for courage to appear as a feeling before we make a move, as if we must feel a surge of boldness, confidence, or fearlessness before taking a step forward. But in reality, courage is not a feeling you wait for, it is a decision you make. Courage grows through movement. The very act of stepping into discomfort, of doing what scares you, begins to change something within you. It builds momentum, it rewires your thinking, and it shows you that fear doesn't have the final say unless you allow it to. Many people never reach their potential simply because they are waiting to feel ready. But readiness is a myth. The truth is, you grow into readiness through action. When you act in the face of fear, no matter how small the step, you are exercising a form of bravery. It may not feel heroic in the moment, in fact. It often feels clumsy and uncertain. But that is precisely where true courage begins. Think about someone standing up to speak in public for the first time. Their heart may be racing, their hands may tremble, but they speak anyway. In that moment, they are not fearless, they are courageous, and that act, though small in the eyes of others, becomes a seed. With each repetition, that seed grows into confidence. The fear may still be there, but it no longer controls the action. This is the powerful truth about bravery. You act first, and the feeling follows. Courage is a process, not a possession. It is not something you either have or don't have. It's something you build through experience, through persistence, and through stepping into the unknown. Waiting for fear to vanish only gives it more power. But when you act despite the fear, you begin to discover that fear is more fragile than it appears. The walls it builds in your mind start to crumble with each step you take through them. The mistake many people make is believing that bravery belongs to the few, to the gifted, the confident, or the fearless. But that is not true. Bravery belongs to anyone willing to act, to risk, to try. Whether you're confronting a personal weakness, chasing a dream, standing up for what you believe, or facing a painful past, your decision to act even in fear is proof of your courage. Every time you take action that aligns with your values, you are practicing bravery. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you stop seeing yourself as someone who's afraid and start seeing yourself as someone who moves forward no matter what. Bravery does not demand perfection, it only asks for presence. Show up, speak up, step forward. You might not feel brave in the beginning, but if you move anyway, you are building something unshakable. Courage is not about eliminating fear. It is about refusing to let fear dictate your future. So if you're waiting to feel brave before you take that next step, you may wait forever. Instead, act, begin, move, let your action become the fire that fuels your courage. Because the truth is, you don't need to feel brave to change your life. You just need to take the first step and let courage meet you there. Your calling is bigger than your comfort zone. Step into it. Too often, we remain stuck in the predictable routines of life, not because we lack ability, but because we fear discomfort. We stay within the borders of familiarity, where outcomes feel controlled and risk is minimized. But purpose does not live in comfort, it lives beyond it. Every person has a calling, a unique contribution to make, a mission planted deep within them. That calling, however, will not be fulfilled by staying in places that feel safe. It demands movement, action, and above all, courage to face the unknown. You cannot grow into your calling without first leaving behind what is familiar. Growth begins where comfort ends. And while it's tempting to delay progress until the path is clear and the risks feel manageable, true progress requires stepping out in faith before certainty ever arrives. Comfort zones are seductive. They whisper promises of ease, control, and safety, but what they never deliver is transformation. You cannot become who you were meant to be while clinging to who you've always been. The moment you decide to pursue something greater, to follow a vision, to answer a deep inner call, you will encounter resistance. That resistance isn't a sign to stop, it's confirmation that you're heading in the right direction. Anything meaningful will stretch you, it will challenge you, it will confront your doubts, and it will require more of you than you thought you had. But in that process, you'll discover something extraordinary: strength, resilience, and abilities you never accessed inside the walls of comfort. People often wonder why their life feels stuck, or why they feel unfulfilled even when everything appears to be fine. The reason is that fine is not enough when you are called to something great. Deep down, you know you were made for more, not for mediocrity, not for routine, but for impact. That sense of restlessness you feel is not a problem, it's a signal. It's your calling trying to awaken you, urging you to rise up and step out. That calling will not yell, it will whisper. And if you're too comfortable, too distracted, or too afraid, you may miss it. But once you hear it, once you recognize it, you must decide. Will you stay where it's comfortable, or will you step into what you were created for? Stepping into your calling doesn't require perfection. It doesn't mean you'll have every answer or feel ready. What it does require is obedience, a willingness to move forward despite the uncertainty. And when you do, you activate courage. That courage begins to expand your capacity. You begin doing things you once believed were beyond you. You begin facing challenges with a sense of purpose that makes fear less convincing. And over time, your calling becomes clearer, not because you figured it all out, but because you answered it one faithful step at a time. So ask yourself, what is comfort really costing you? What gifts are you withholding from the world by staying in the shallow waters? What breakthroughs are waiting on the other side of one brave decision? You were not created to play small. You were not designed to settle. There is more in you, and that more is found when you leave comfort behind and follow your calling with courage. The road may not be easy, but it will be worth it. And with every step you take beyond comfort, you will find yourself growing into the person you were always meant to become.